All right. Hey, everybody. Dan Fitzpatrick here at stockmarketmentor.com. I want to take you real quick through Oruka or ORKA, if you like whales. But Oruka Therapeutics, this had been in a pretty tight squeeze for a while. You can see it here, like right around 35 bucks or so. Now on Monday, and then the 50-day moving average is really tight here. So on Monday, I was going through this, and then I remember on Wednesday, this is just or Tuesday, I should say, I showed our members this stock, and I set an alert at 36 bucks, like 36.14 or whatever for anybody who's keeping score. But I set an alert there, and my reasoning was I don't even want to look at this stock unless it's giving me something to look at. In other words, something like a breakout. And I think, yeah, it was, uh, yeah, sorry. Um, I'm not going to get it. Not, well, I guess I am getting into it. 36.14 was when I set that price alert. So this thing fired off today, and I saw it and pretty much immediately went, wow, let's get in this stock. And so I just want to point this out to you that alerts work. They work like a charm. And so I had set this price here, this 36.62. Um, I think I set this a few days ago. I'm not going to get into yeah, on Wednesday as well. And here's the thing. So it's 36.62. All right. Well, why was my alert at 36.14? Okay, there's nothing magic about 14 pennies, but what I did was I wanted to set the alert below where I felt like the breakout would happen, which would be like above here, above this high here. So I wanted to get my alert early so that I could see it and go, huh, okay, it's about to break out. Looks like it might break out. Let me take a look at it. All right. So by the time I saw this stock and input a couple things in our trade software, we had an entry of 36 bucks. And so, yeah, the alert was headed at 36.14, but as often happens, the stock jiggles around a little bit. So we get a lower entry at 36.14. And by the end of the day, guys, the average volume's 400,000. Okay, so it's 1.6 million. Okay, so that's four times average volume. That's a lot of volume. That's institutional sponsorship. And also at the same time, you got these ridiculous price targets, ridiculous in a good way, for this stock. I think this stock's going a heck of a lot higher. You've got this Guggenheim, more than a museum. Uh, their price target on this is 60 bucks. These are 52-week price targets. Stiefel or Stifle or Stufel or Stuffle, whatever, raised their profit target to 72. Okay. And then the notorious BIG has it at 73. And so what I'm saying is there's a lot of room for this stock to run before profit taking is setting in. So if you guys remember, if you're watching this and you remember, you know this already. Hopefully you're already in the stock. It's given you a really, really good entry here. But I would say don't just trade this stock. I mean, protect your downside, of course, but this is a really, really strong breakout here. A really, really strong breakout. Stocks like this is an institutional move. They don't just snap hook reverse the very next day. Again, set your stop, make sure that you know what your maximum loss is, and then just hang on to ORKA here. And hopefully you don't get wet. All right? I'll see you guys next time on Monday.